It's the then versus now challenge. 3.
We are back for qualifying race 6.
That's right, Barry. The VTEC has kicked in and we're ready to go.
Up first for Team Then, it's this classic 1970 N600, driven by Matthias Rollins from Sonoma, California. Followed by the 1976 Civic CVCC, driven by Philippe James, also from the state of California, but his hometown is Santa Maria. Finally, we have the 1999 Civic Type R, driven by Claudia Salazar, and her hometown is all the way on the opposite side of the country in Syracuse, New York.
And for Team Now, we're in another situation where we only have one driver representing our team. But I'm not worried because it's this beautiful 2002 Civic SI, driven by Mr. Oliver Cooper from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Now let's get up to the guillotine gate to get this race started.
Hold on, Barry. I feel like mixing things up today. Since these cars are all 4 bangers, let's make things interesting and make it only 4 heats.
But Al, you know you only have one driver. You're just making things harder on yourself.
Like I said, I'm not worried about it at all.
Okay then, as I was saying, now let's get up to the guillotine gate to get this race started. Here we are at the guillotine gate for Heat 1.
Up front, Philippe James in the CVCC is in the pole position. And one spot over, it's the SI in lane 2.
And in the back, it's the N600 in lane 3. And joining him is Miss Claudia Salazar in lane 4.
The safety officials cleared the track while we did the racer intros, so this race is ready to go.
3, 2, 1, go!
What? What's going on?
Whoa! Oh my goodness! Here it is again!
Confusion in the bottleneck!
Claudia's Type R stalls out! Brutal! Oh, the camera!
SI is still in it! Oh no, watch out! What the heck did we just watch, Barry?
It's pandemonium!
You're telling me. Look at this. After everyone clears the gate, it fails and comes crashing down. Why does that always happen in this tournament?
We don't call it the guillotine gate for nothing.
I think Matthias in the N600 might be a psychic because he preemptively slams on the brakes and loses it coming down Nevada. Barry, let's watch it again. Let's watch it again.
Brutal! And it seems like everyone heard the boom by the time they were in the bottleneck, because everyone tries to get out of there as fast as possible.
And maybe this being the first time on our track, it was just a little more than Claudia Salazar could handle, because she decides to pull over at the safety station and call it quits.
She's obviously never seen Wild Bob pilot the Yellow Jacket, because the misnomered safety station is anything but safe.
Oh, I heard that, Barry. Now, you taking that back, or by everything that's good, I
Yes,
swear
moving on. In Clunker Canyon, it's the N600 that loses it early, but it's the CVCC that hits the tank on the big rig and goes flying across the track, taking out one of our precious cameras.
Barry, why is it you get so upset when we lose a camera, but you could not care less when the guillotine gate destroys the tarmac on the track?
Cameras are equipment. That's paperwork I have to fill out. Blacktop falls under maintenance. That's paperwork Wild Bob can try to figure out with his flip phone and fax machine.
Why, that's strike 2, you lily-livered yellow belly.
Yes, moving on. Finally, coming down the boulevard, the SI's lead allowed him to avoid all the calamity.
But he decides to up the calamity level to the extreme by going full speed into the junk piles after the finish line. The SI may be the only member of Team Next on the track today, but he's also the only person across the line. Like I said, I'm not worried about him at all. His paint job, however, is a different story. Heat 2. We have Miss Claudia's Type R in the pole position, and the CVCC in lane 2.
And in the back, it's the SI in lane 3. And in lane 4, it's Matthias Rollins in the N600.
This race should be ready to go. The safety officials have cleared the track, and more importantly, they've rechained the guillotine gate.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're clean down the hill.
SI gets loose.
2 Hondas on their roofs.
They're both out.
Claudia in the lead.
SI has a blowout.
It startles Claudia. SI on his roof.
And they're both out. Wow. Talk about the polar opposite heat. The guillotine thankfully stayed in place.
And everyone kept a nice, tight, clean formation coming down Nevada.
Yeah, they look like the Blue Angels coming down that hill.
Then in the bottleneck, the SI pulls a handbrake slide to try to block both the CVCC and the N600.
Not only does the SI pass them both, but he sends them on their roofs, taking them completely out of the race.
And the previously jumpy Miss Claudia keeps her head in the game and holds on to the lead.
But that all changes once the now in reverse SI has a massive blowout that sends him airborne.
Upon hearing that boom, Miss Claudia's hard on the Type R's brakes, sending herself into the wall.
And from reverse to on his top, the SI goes into a crazy spin, and they both end up out of commission halfway down the boulevard. Had Miss Claudia not been so jumpy, she probably could have put her car in neutral and just rolled back across the line for a win. But no win equals no points, and everyone gets a 0 in this heat. Heat 3. The SI is in a pretty comfortable position at this point.
Team then really has to get into the game and get some points on the scorecard.
3, 2, 1, go!
N600 late into the wall.
The SI spins. Yes! Everyone is through Carmine Corner.
Oh wait, CVCC is over.
SI goes off the cliff. Claudia into the wall again.
N600 in reverse.
Oh no, watch out! Things look like they were gonna start normal,
And even coming down Nevada, they were all pretty straight.
but at the last possible moment, the N600 just clips the wall, and that turns Matthias from rollins into spin-ins.
Then he spins into Oliver Cooper's SI, and now they're both spinning.
And yet somehow everyone was able to make it through Carmine Corner on all 4 wheels.
But that wouldn't last for long because Claudia Salazar sideswipes the clunkers, causing a chain reaction.
And that causes Philippe James in the CVCC to live up to his name, because that car completely Philipped over.
While simultaneously, with no clunkers to serve as a buffer, the SI goes off the side of the cliff.
And being so far behind by the time the N600 makes it to Clunker Canyon, it's as clear as a Sunday drive around the lakes.
Then Claudia once again goes slamming into the wall.
Also, Philippe finally stops Philipping halfway down the boulevard.
And then the N600 easily steers around and crosses the line.
And that tiny car just slips through the junk pile and takes out our finish line cam.
While I'll have to fill out some paperwork for that camera, it'll be worth it because the little N600 just put up 5 big points on the scorecard, giving a much-needed win to Team Then.
And thanks to my exciting rule change, this is the final heat. Up front in the pole position for the first time is the tiny N600. To his right is Claudia in her Type R.
In the back is Philippe in the CVCC, and Oliver Cooper rounds out the pack in lane 4.
3, 2, 1, go!
SI misses the block.
He's off track! Claudia's on her roof and out!
CVCC is out.
N600 hard into the big rig. This one is all over. Wow, Barry. Seems like everyone forgot to turn on the VTEC in this heat.
In the SI, Oliver Cooper appeared to be setting himself up to take out the CVCC at the opening of the bottleneck.
Instead, he totally misses and goes into the wall.
He fights that blue SI the whole way through the bottleneck, but it's just too much for him and he goes over the edge.
I told you before, I was worried about his paint job. Then, coming into Carmine Corner, both Philippe and Claudia Philippe their cars again, and they are both out.
And while the N600 appears to have an easy backwards win, he miscalculates and just nicks the tire on the big rig. And that's enough to send that microcar cartwheeling across the track and into the clunkers.
Matthias Rollins is lucky that the clunkers were there, or else he'd also be living up to his last name, and he would be Rollins over that cliff. And it looks like since everyone got goose eggs in this round, the N600 and my boy from Team Next are moving on.
Matthias Rollins just proved it's not always the fastest car that wins. Sometimes it's about waiting for your opportunity to make your move.
Even if that move is waiting for everyone else to crash first. Also moving on, it's our only driver representing Team Now, Oliver Cooper. He represented and scored for the team. And unfortunately, Philippe James lived up to his last name a little too well. And will be Philipping his way all the way back home to Santa Maria, California.
And his team then teammate Claudia Salazar had a tough time making it around the track. Hopefully she'll do better back on the quiet roads of her hometown in Syracuse, New York. And speaking of home, our next group shares the same home as these Hondas.
That's right, Barry. We're sticking with the Japanese auto market as Race 7 will be all about the Toyotas.
As always, I'm your host, Barnabas Tone, saying thank you and good night.
And I'm F. Alan Seto, saying see you next time. And please be sure to subscribe and share our videos.
It's the 10 versus